Many women quietly ask the same question in their hearts. Does God really have a place for me? Not on a big stage, not behind a pulpit, but right where I am, in my daily life. The Bible shows us something beautiful and very encouraging. God has always used women in powerful, meaningful, and blessed ways. Some serve through prayer and fasting, some through generosity and hospitality, some with their hands, their words, or their quiet faithfulness. In this video, we will explore 5+1 blessed ministries for women, all rooted in Scripture and still relevant today. These are not complicated callings. They are real, life-giving ways God works through willing hearts. If you desire to serve the Lord, if you want your life to have spiritual meaning, then stay with us. You may discover that God has already placed a ministry in your hands. So let's begin with the first and one of the most powerful ministries a woman can have. It doesn't start with activity. It starts with devotion. Before public recognition, before visible results, there is prayer and there is fasting. The Bible introduces us to a woman who served God in this very way, Anna the prophetess. She was not known for traveling. She was not known for preaching. She was known for one thing. She never left the temple, but served God with fasting and prayers day and night. And through this quiet, faithful ministry, God allowed her to recognize the Messiah when others missed him. Let's take a closer look at the blessed ministry of prayer and fasting through the life of Anna. Anna the prophetess, the blessed ministry of prayer and fasting. The Bible tells us about a woman named Anna, a prophetess, in Luke chapter 2. She was ancient. She had known loss. She had lived through disappointment and long waiting. But Scripture does not describe her as broken or bitter. Instead, it describes her as faithful. Anna did not depart from the temple. She served God with fasting and prayers night and day. This is important. Her ministry was not loud. It was not public. It was not visible to the crowds, but it was precious to God. Day after day, Anna chose prayer instead of despair. She chose fasting instead of giving up. She chose God's presence instead of isolation. And one day, everything changed. When Mary and Joseph brought the child Jesus into the temple, Anna was there. Among many religious people, she recognized what others could not. She knew this was the Messiah. Why? Because a heart trained in prayer learns to recognize God's voice. A life shaped by fasting becomes sensitive to God's movement. Anna began to thank God, and she spoke about Jesus to all who were waiting for redemption in Jerusalem. Her quiet ministry prepared her for a powerful moment. This teaches us something important. Prayer and fasting may seem hidden. They may feel unnoticed. But God uses them to prepare us for divine encounters. If you feel unseen, if your service feels small, if your prayers seem repetitive, remember Anna. God sees faithfulness. God honors devotion. God rewards those who wait on him. And through prayer and fasting, God can use your life to bless others, even in ways you never expected. Anna served God through prayer and fasting, mostly unseen, mostly in silence. But the same love for Jesus can be expressed in another way. Not only through time, not only through words, but also through what God has placed in our hands. This brings us to the second blessed ministry for women, the ministry of generosity and support. The blessed ministry of giving and support. The Bible tells us about women who serve Jesus not from a distance, but from their resources. In the Gospel of Luke, we read about Mary and other women who supported Jesus and his disciples with their substance. They used what they had, their finances, their homes, their possessions, to serve the work of God. One powerful example is Mary, who opened her home. In the book of Acts, chapter 12, we see believers gathered in a house praying earnestly. That house became a place of intercession, protection, and breakthrough. This kind of ministry may seem practical, even ordinary, but in God's eyes, it is deeply spiritual. Providing a place, sharing what you have, supporting God's work quietly, this ministry says, Lord, what I have is yours. Generosity is not about wealth. It is about willingness. You may not preach, you may not travel, but you can create space for God to move. Your home can become a place of prayer. Your resources can strengthen God's servants. Your giving can open doors for miracles. Just as prayer and fasting, this ministry bears eternal fruit. God notices every act of generosity, every sacrifice, every open hand, and He uses it to build His kingdom, one faithful heart at a time. We also remember Mary, who served Jesus with what she had to offer. The Bible tells us that Mary and other women supported Jesus and His disciples with their possessions. They didn't preach sermons, they didn't stand on stages, but without their support, the ministry could not move forward. Mary's service reminds us, God uses willing hearts, not titles. Whether through your hands or through your resources, every act done for Christ matters. And this is where you come in. We invite you to join our mission. Our mission is simple: to help as many people around the world as possible receive genuine help from the Lord. As you walk the path of fulfilling your calling in the Lord, you also have the opportunity to help others who desperately need His help. If this message speaks to your heart, we invite you to be part of this work. Subscribe now, comment actively, share this video with someone who needs encouragement, or become a sponsor of the channel. Together we can serve. Together we can encourage. Together we can help many find true help from the Lord. Prayer shapes the heart. Generosity opens doors. However, God also employs the simplest of means, our hands. This leads us to another blessed ministry for women. A ministry that doesn't need a platform or a microphone. A ministry lived out in everyday faithfulness. The ministry of serving with your hands. Tabitha. In the book of Acts, we meet a woman named Tabitha, also called Dorcas. The Bible tells us she was full of good works and charitable deeds. She made garments. She helped widows. She served quietly, stitch by stitch, act by act. What she did may have seemed small to the world, but when she died, the community was devastated. Why? Because her love was tangible. People were literally wearing the evidence of her ministry. God honored her faithfulness, and through the power of God, her life was restored. Tabitha shows us something powerful. What you do with your hands can become a holy service. Cooking, sewing, helping, creating. When done with love and faith, these acts become ministry. Not every calling is lived out in public. Some of the most powerful ministries happen quietly, in conversations, in example, and in daily life. After prayer, generosity, and serving with our hands, Scripture points us to a ministry that shapes generations, the ministry of mentoring younger women. The Bible calls older women to teach and encourage the younger, to love their husbands and children, to live with purity, kindness, and self-control, to build their homes with wisdom and faith. This ministry is not about control. It is about care. Not about rules, but about love lived out. It reflects God's design for family, where faith, devotion, and commitment are passed from one generation to the next. Older women don't just teach with words, they teach by example. How to love faithfully, how to serve with joy, how to remain devoted in both ordinary and difficult seasons. Through this kind of mentoring, families grow stronger, marriages gain stability, and homes become places of peace. This is a quiet ministry, but its fruit lasts for a lifetime. When a woman walks closely with God, when her life is shaped by prayer, love, service, and faithfulness, something begins to overflow naturally. She doesn't need a platform. She doesn't need a title. Her life itself becomes a testimony. The ministry of testifying about Jesus. One of the most powerful ministries God gives women is the ministry of testimony. We see this clearly in Scripture. Anna the prophetess spoke about Jesus to all who were looking for redemption in Jerusalem. She didn't preach sermons, she shared what she had seen and believed. The Samaritan woman met Jesus for just a short moment. She didn't have theological training, but she had an encounter. And she went back to her city and said, "Come, see a man." And many believed because of her testimony. This kind of ministry is simple, but it is deeply powerful. You tell others what the Lord has done for you, how He helped you, how He carried you through fear, loss, confusion, or pain. Your story may be exactly what someone else needs to hear. You don't need perfect words. You only need a sincere heart. Because when God changes a life, that life becomes a living message. There is also a quiet but mighty kind of ministry, helping in spiritual work. The Bible speaks about such women with great honor. The Apostle Paul writes about a woman named Phoebe and says, "She hath been a succorer of many, and of myself also." The word succorer means helper, supporter, one who stands beside others. Phoebe may not have preached publicly. However, she strengthened ministers, supported the church's work, and helped many people, including the Apostle Paul himself. This kind of ministry often happens behind the scenes, through encouragement, through practical help, through faithfulness and availability, and God values it greatly. When you support spiritual work, when you help servants of God, when you stand with those who carry responsibility, you become a part of their fruit. This is a blessed and meaningful ministry, and it is open to many women today. As we've seen, God's work is not limited to one role or one path. There are many blessed ways to serve, and each one is precious in His sight. Some women, like Anna the prophetess, serve through prayer, fasting, and devotion to God. Others, like Mary, serve by giving, supporting the work of the Lord with what they have. Some, like Tabitha, serve with their hands, meeting real needs with love and compassion. Others serve by teaching and guiding the younger generation, strengthening families and homes. Some boldly share the good news of Jesus, leading others to encounter Him. And some, like Phoebe, serve by supporting spiritual work, standing beside those who serve, helping quietly but powerfully. Different callings, different expressions, but one Lord and one purpose. God sees every act of faithfulness. He values every sincere service, and He uses each one to bless others and bring His help into this world. You don't need to do everything, but you are called to do something, and God will guide you to your place. If this video was helpful to you, we invite you to join our community. You are warmly welcome here. Let's work together so that more people can receive help from the Lord. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with those who need God's help. Together, we can do more. We sincerely thank you and welcome you to our ministry.